Have you ever done everything right, studied hard, worked late, made the sacrifices, and still felt like success was standing just one step ahead of you, moving every time you moved? Maybe you got the promotion but felt nothing when it came. Maybe you hit the number you always wanted in your bank account and woke up the next morning feeling exactly the same as before. Maybe you watched someone else succeed and thought, they don't deserve that more than I do, but they have it, and you don't. Maybe the most confusing part isn't the failure. It's the moments when things are going well and it still doesn't feel like enough. Like success is a room you've been trying to get into your whole life, and when the door finally opens, you're not sure you were ever looking for the right room. If you've ever felt that success looked nothing like what you were promised it would, this story is for you. Because once there was a man who chased achievement his entire life and nearly destroyed the only things that made achievement worth having, until one evening on a rooftop taught him what nobody tells you about success before it happens. Stay with me until the end. In a fast-moving financial district where the buildings were tall and the lunches were short, there lived a 33-year-old investment analyst named Varric. Varric had been built, from the time he could understand language, for one purpose: to win. His father had emigrated from Eastern Europe with $40 and a suitcase. His mother had worked double shifts for 11 years to pay for Varric's education. He had not been raised to enjoy life. He had been raised to justify their sacrifice. Varric believed in one thing the way a compass believes in north. That success was the destination, and everything else, relationships, health, rest, joy, was the price of the ticket. You can have balance when you arrive, he would tell anyone who asked why he worked 14-hour days. Right now I'm still in transit. He had been in transit for 11 years. By 33, Varric was earning more than he had ever imagined. His name appeared in industry reports. Junior analysts asked to shadow him. He had a flat in the city, a car he rarely drove, and a wardrobe that announced quietly but clearly that he had made it. On paper, Varric had arrived. And yet every Sunday evening he felt a low, formless dread that he could not name and refused to examine, because examining it would mean slowing down, and slowing down was the one thing he had promised himself he would never do. In the same firm worked a man named Sage. Sage was 3 years younger than Varric, earned 30% less, and had been passed over for a senior position that Varric had helped award to someone else. By every external measure, Sage was behind, but Sage left at 6 o'clock. He coached his daughter's football team on Saturday mornings. He had started a small investment blog, nothing serious, just thinking out loud, that had quietly grown to 18,000 readers. He took a week off every quarter alone, somewhere without reliable Wi-Fi. He seemed, in a way Varric found quietly maddening, entirely at ease with himself. "He's not hungry enough," Varric told a colleague once. "He'll plateau." What Varric could not admit, even privately, was that Sage looked like a man who had already arrived somewhere. And Varric, for all his titles and his earnings, still felt like a man in transit. The breaking point did not announce itself. It arrived on a Tuesday in the form of a phone call from his younger sister, Mara, whom he had not spoken to in 4 months. She was getting married. She had tried to reach him 3 times over 6 weeks. She had eventually stopped trying. "I didn't want to bother you," she said, in a tone so carefully neutral that it hit him harder than anger would have. "I know how busy you are." Varric said all the right things. He congratulated her. He promised to come. He hung up and sat very still at his desk for a long time. Then he opened his calendar. Back to back, wall to wall, 14-hour days every week for the next 3 months. He scrolled forward looking for a gap. There was no gap. There had never been a gap because he had never left one. He had filled every hour of his life with the pursuit of a destination that kept moving, and in doing so had quietly missed the people waiting for him at the places he had already passed through. That evening, he went up to the roof of his building and sat on the edge of a concrete planter with the city spread out below him, bright and indifferent, and thought, "I have built exactly the life I planned. So why does it feel like someone else's?" The next morning, Varric did something he could not remember doing in 11 years. He knocked on someone's door and asked for help. Not a therapist, not a coach, not a productivity consultant. He walked to Sage's office, stood in the doorway and said, without preamble, "I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer it seriously. You seem like someone who has figured something out that I haven't, and I'm tired of pretending I don't notice." Sage looked up from his desk, studied Varric for a moment and said, "Close the door." They talked for 90 minutes. At the end, Sage said, "There's someone I want you to meet. She's the person who taught me what I'm about to tell you, but I think it'll mean more coming from her directly. Are you free on Thursday evening?" On Thursday evening, Varric found himself in a small apartment filled with plants and framed photographs, drinking tea with a 71-year-old retired economist named Dr. Ursa, Sage's former university professor, and as Sage had described her, the most quietly formidable person he had ever met. Dr. Ursa listened to Varric for 20 minutes without interrupting. Then she stood up, walked to her bookshelf and took down a snow globe the kind tourists buy with a miniature city inside. She shook it and set it on the table between them. They both watched the snow swirl and slowly settle. "Most people spend their lives shaking this," she said. "They think the snow globe is most alive when the snow is flying. They shake it again the moment it settles because the stillness frightens them. But the city inside," she tapped the glass gently, "the city is always there. Still. Complete, whether the snow is moving or not." She looked at Varric. "You have been shaking your life for 11 years because you are afraid that if it settles, there will be nothing worth seeing inside." She sat back down. "Let me tell you 3 things nobody told you about success before you started chasing it. Law 1. Success is not the destination. It is the quality of the journey you can remember. Nobody tells you this before you begin. The version of success you are chasing exists only in the future, and the future, when it arrives, immediately becomes the present, which feels exactly like today. The promotion you earned last year feels like ordinary Tuesday now. The salary that once seemed impossible is now your baseline. This is not ingratitude. It is how human beings are built, which means that if you are postponing your life until you arrive, you will spend your entire life postponing. The only success that accumulates into something you can actually feel is the success you were present enough to experience while it was happening. The meetings, the struggles, the small wins, the people who helped you, these are the contents of the life you are actually living. Start treating them that way. Law 2. What you sacrifice on the way up is part of what you arrive with. Nobody tells you that the habits you build in pursuit of success become the furniture of your life after you reach it. If you build the habit of canceling on people, you will arrive at success as someone who cancels on people. If you build the habit of never resting, you will arrive unable to rest. If you build the habit of measuring every relationship by what it produces for you, you will arrive surrounded by transactions and wonder why you feel alone. You are not just building a career, you are building a character. And character, unlike a CV, cannot be rewritten once it is set. The question is not only what are you achieving, it is who are you becoming in the process of achieving it. Those 2 things must be chosen together, or success becomes a stranger wearing your name. Law 3. The people you arrive with matter more than where you arrive. Nobody tells you that achievement experienced alone has a ceiling, and the ceiling is lower than you think. Every significant moment in a human life, a promotion, a milestone, a breakthrough, is felt most fully in the moment of sharing it. Not posting it, sharing it, with a person who was there for the struggle, who knows what it cost, who can look you in the eye and understand. Varric, you have built something real, but you have been building it in a room with the door locked. The people on the other side of that door, your sister, the ones you've kept at a distance, they are not distractions from your success. They are the reason success is supposed to mean something. Let them in before you have run out of things to share. Dr. Ursa picked up the snow globe and put it back on the shelf. "The city inside is already beautiful," she said. "Stop shaking it long enough to see." Varric drove home in silence, not the heavy silence of a man with too much to think about. The lighter silence of a man who had finally stopped needing to. The first thing Varric did the next morning was call Mara, not a text, a call. He told her he was sorry for the 4 months of silence. He asked her to tell him everything about the wedding, the venue, the dress, the person she was marrying, and he listened without checking his phone once. The call lasted an hour and 12 minutes. It was the best conversation he had had in years. He did not quit his job. He did not sell his flat and move to the mountains. He made 3 small structural changes that Dr. Ursa had suggested. He blocked Thursday evenings as non-negotiable personal time. He started keeping a 1-paragraph daily note about what had actually mattered that day. And he agreed to mentor 2 junior analysts, not as a performance, but as a genuine transfer of what he had learned. 6 months later, something unexpected happened. His work improved, not because he was working harder, but because he was working from a place that was no longer hollow. He brought a steadiness to the room that juniors noticed and senior partners trusted. He was offered a managing director role, not because he had chased it, but because he had finally stopped radiating the desperation that had always undercut his brilliance. He stood at Mara's wedding in October, gave a toast that made the room laugh and then go quiet, and felt for the first time in 11 years like a man who had actually arrived somewhere worth being. On the way out, Sage found him on the steps. "You look different," Sage said. "I stopped shaking the snow globe," Varric said. Sage nodded slowly. "How's the city?" "It was there the whole time," Varric said. "I just couldn't see it through all the snow." My friend, Varric's story is not about slowing down or working less or choosing comfort over ambition. It is about understanding what success is actually made of before you spend a decade building the wrong thing in the right way. Here is what nobody told you, and what I want you to carry with you today. First, success is not a place you reach. It is a quality of attention you bring to where you already are. Start treating today's struggle, today's small win, today's conversation as the substance of the life you are building, not the inconvenient process before it begins. Second, look honestly at who you are becoming on the way to what you want. The habits you are building right now are the furniture of your future self's life. If you do not like what you are practicing, change it now, not after you arrive. Third, name one person you have been keeping at a distance because you have been too busy. Not a message, a real conversation, this week, before anything else. Because success that cannot be shared is not success. It is just accumulation. Your challenge, this week, put down the snow globe for 1 hour. No goals, no metrics, no planning. Just be present with one person, one moment, one thing that already exists in your life, and notice whether the city inside was beautiful all along. Because here is what Varric learned and what nobody told you before you started. Success was never the destination. It was always the person you chose to be, and the people you chose to bring with you on the way there. If this story named something you have been feeling but couldn't say out loud, share it with someone who is running hard and forgetting why. Drop a comment. What is the one thing success has cost you that you want back? I read every single one. I will be back next week with another story to keep you growing. Until then, stop shaking the snow globe. The city inside is already worth seeing.